For this Odin's Day, there is much to be discussed. The Havamal stanzas 76 and 77, you might know them. Cattle die, kinsmen die, the self must also die. But the glory of reputation never dies, for the man who can get himself a good one. Cattle die, kinsmen die, the self must also die. I know one thing which never dies, the reputation of each dead man. I wanted to start this video with those verses because I want to dedicate this video to someone. I didn't know them, I know of them. A young man, Kimmy McKinney, who in one of the communities I belong to, his cousin Michael Ray shared news of his passing, said words, and had members of the community, our community, mock him for not having all of his information correct. I messaged Michael sort of privately to pass on my condolences and to say that I would do something. It's not a lot, but it's something, in the hopes that for those that are grieving, they might find strength in their memories, find joy, and look forward to times when, as ancestors, they all meet again. I will say this: there is not one of us on Midgard that can speak for any of the gods. And in particular, from the stories we are told, Odin does not like to play by the rules. And why should he? So whatever is or has been determined about where Jimmy should go, that is the decision for the gods and not for us mere mortals on Midgard. And I hope share some Lindisfarne mead. And this, Jimmy, and for Michael for that matter, and your family, this is for you. May the strength of your family endure. Now, for New Rune Day, we're transitioning from Yera, the harvest, the passage of time, if you like, the passing of a season. You could say almost the passing of a life. From my personal experiences this past week connected to Yera, it's felt very much a time to leave things from the last season or the last year behind. And I don't want to go into too many details. If you know me, you will know. The Valhalla Viking Festival has just been on this weekend, and a year ago I attended, representing this faith, this practice, for an organisation that really, that festival marked a moment of change. In many ways, for the practice, for Heathenry or Asatru, Norse Paganism, Animism, whichever you choose to call it, it was a couple of busy days where I was talking a lot, especially for me. And it helped me galvanise some foundations, if you like, of what this faith is about. And I've carried that forward. And obviously, this past year, I've had my eyes opened, learned, discovered, taken action regarding things, have not necessarily regrets, but unsettled business, it has felt like. And yet, it seems Yera has helped me in this past week to move past that. It represents that season is behind me now. And as we move to New Rune Day, let's connect to a new rune, I feel like I can leave that unwanted baggage behind, which is a great thing. It's an unlooked for benefit of having been connected to Yara this past week. I look forward to what the future holds, and what the future has within the new rune, which, moving from Yera, the page does not want to open. There's a silence. Here we go. An interesting one, because it's one of the runes I don't commonly or I don't easily think of, and that is Awaz, the yew tree. So also trees have been on my path, in my mind, in my experiences, to some extent, the past month or so. So, I mean, obviously you can say sort of, well, I know what is coming. I'm doing the runes currently in order, and yet again, it's a time of year that sort of had Yera just sort of being connected to it has fallen at exactly the right time. I needed to work with that rune. So let's go through the rune poems, beginning with the Old English rune poem. Yew is on the outside an unsmooth tree, hard in the earth holding fast, fire's keeper, by roots buttressed, a joy on the estate. For the Old Icelandic, yew is a bent bow and fragile iron, and arrows far bawty. For the Old Norwegian, Yew is the winter greenest wood, and is found wanting when it burns to ignite. Some interesting words to consider, to break down the meanings that are given for Awaz. And as usual, I'm just going to go through the key words that are presented in the Lisa Chamberlain book, which give some common denominators, common meanings. So the key words for Awaz are death, regeneration, rebirth, changes, and magic. And I think there's a lot to take on board there. There's a lot of meaning you can find if you take into account all that's been discussed in this video. And also, I need to add as a closing anecdote is the previous week when I was connecting to Yara and had disconnected from Isa. Obviously, while I'd been connected to Isa, I hadn't been well. And it was an alarming experience that when I did my meditation, it was a real struggle, and there was nothing familiar to work with. Because I've got a routine, the meditation, the opening my aura, the closing it down can be quite feel almost like an automatic process. I don't have to think about it too much. And I found that perhaps because of the delusions, possible delusions, or just the download of information or images I'd felt I had experienced, when I came to do my meditation, I felt like everything I was comfortable with and was used to experiencing was gone. I was like a blank slate. I sort of worried as I begun whether I could even do it anymore. I felt that sort of raw and stripped bare that I felt like I was beginning all over again, sort of like just like everything had been wiped. But I persisted, and once I'd gotten into the correct mental state, visualizing the runes was a struggle in itself. Again, it was a struggle, but I achieved it. I didn't give up. I achieved it. I calmed myself down. I closed myself down. And then I've had the week I've had with Yara, and now moved to Awaz, as well as having some things to look forward to this weekend. We're going on an expedition. There should be a video of some sort. But yeah, it was hard work, and it was like a last prod and goodbye from Isa for the time being. That concluded a struggle of a week. So yeah, there we go. A lot to take in. What I would like to end with is, and I found myself saying this quite a lot of late, is if someone has wrong information, that what we should be doing is teaching and not telling. And what I mean by that is, don't be a dick. Don't go, you're wrong, blah, 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 and make someone feel small. Provide the information, and provide it in a way where you're not, crushing someone in the moment because you're scoring some sort of psychological victory against some imagined opponent that you are competing with. Take into account someone's feelings. Take into account that we can all be wrong. We can all make mistakes. We can all have, information that needs fine-tuning. I'm always willing to learn. I don't claim to have all the answers. Part of the reason I look for the different translations with things like the Poetic Edda is to learn and to accept as well that what I may know now at any given point in the future, there may be someone with a better understanding that they will provide it to me. And obviously we are more receptive to teaching if it inspires, rather than being told and made to feel insignificant and small and worthless because someone has to stroke their ego at the point of correcting someone on something that they've gotten wrong. Be kind. Inspire. Teach when you have the opportunity. Don't belittle. We're at our best when we're helping each other and not when we're fighting each other. If you've listened, thank you very much. If you take the opportunity, raise a horn of mead for Jimmy and Michael, There's nothing to be lost. By celebrating a life and remembering all the good times you've had with that person. Because it's in those moments they still live with us, and you will have joy or smiles from thinking about the things that they did. Take care now. I'll see you soon. Goodbye. Cheers.